What's up guys? The Xbox Series X and S are officially here. There's obviously a lot to get excited about. 4K, 120 FPS, ray tracing. We could go on, but one of the most amazing things is how they apply the concept of backwards compatibility to accessories. So you can use any Xbox One gamepad with your next-gen console, including the creme de la creme of customizable controllers, the Xbox Elite Series 2. Maybe you've got a Series 2 already that's coming over to the new generation with you. Or maybe you've taken this opportunity to buy the best controller on the market. Or maybe you're just eyeing one up as a future treat. Whatever the case, we're here to help you figure out how to best take advantage of the Elite Series 2 controller along with your Xbox Series X or S. We're going to show you the best way to set up the controller to make sure you're not missing out on any of the brilliant next-gen features on offer from these two consoles. This is especially important with the Elite because it's not just a lovely premium bit of kit, it's also ridiculously customizable.
It's actually super easy to customize any controller on an Xbox Series S and X from the console's accessories menu. You can remap any button, switch or invert sticks, but the Elite 2 takes it to a whole nother level. The controller comes with 6 removable and interchangeable thumbsticks for you to switch in and out to your heart's content, plus a tool to tweak the tension of the sticks too. There's also a choice of 2 D-pads, standard or faceted, and 4 paddles that can be attached to the underside of the controller and programmed to whatever function you fancy. Finally, you might not be able to detach the triggers, but you can adjust their sensitivity, so it's up to you whether you prefer a nice long squeeze for your racing game accelerator or a short hair trigger to pop off shots as quickly as possible.
And on top of all of that, there's shift functionality, which lets you assign one button as a shift key, like on a keyboard, and as long as you're holding down that button, it'll modify any other presses that you make. This opens up a whole new world of customization, as it basically gives you every face button, D-pad direction, and even the triggers a secondary function. This can be as simple as making B act like A when you're holding shift, or more complex stuff like turning your D-pad into volume controls or changing the sensitivity curve of your thumbsticks, which can be great for those precision shots whilst you're aiming down sights, for example. All in all, we're not actually sure how you'd maths this one out, so let's just say a lot of combinations. Finding the right setup for you might take a little while, but it's totally worth it. Especially because you're able to store multiple profiles, one for every game in your collection if you really want to. And there's a button on the front of the controller that'll let you jump between your 3 favorites on the fly. So because of that, we're going to talk you through 3 profiles that might come in handy for some of the new games that have got us most excited right now. But first, a little bonus tip that could come in handy, whatever your setup.
So you might have noticed that the brand new Xbox Series X and Series S controller has a new button on it, the share button to be precise, which can take screenshots and record gameplay without requiring a trip to the menus. Obviously the Elite Series 2 doesn't have a share button, but that doesn't mean you can't make one. You could program a paddle to be your very own share button or make a shift function on one of the other buttons. It's entirely up to you.
Anyway, let's get stuck into some setups for our favorite new games on Xbox. It wouldn't be a new console generation without a shiny new racing game to show off the tech. So let's start with Dirt 5. The Elite Series 2 is especially useful if you're going to be playing with manual transmission controls. I like to put 2 of the medium paddles on the back of the controller and use the left for shifting down a gear and the right for shifting up. It's almost like driving a real sports car which has paddle shifters behind the steering wheel. You can also add a mini paddle to act as your handbrake, which is great for drifting around corners. I use the regular thumbsticks with the left stick sensitivity curve set to instant for nice sharp responsiveness. And you don't want to set any hair trigger lock to give you maximum control over the accelerator. Oh, and to really feel the track beneath your wheels, turn the vibration up to the maximum. The game's called Dirt for a reason, so a bit of off-road rumble is exactly what you want.
Next up, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. For a story-led single-player game like this, where you're not competing with anyone except the AI, there's a bit more room for personal preference. but it's still totally worth setting up your own custom profile. You probably don't need to switch out the thumbsticks, but it might be worth giving those D-pads a spin. In Valhalla, you're going to be using it to gobble up health rations, summon your horse, and switch to a literal bird's eye view in Raven mode. With such specific tasks assigned to each direction, you'll probably be best with the standard D-pad. The faceted dish is much more useful for fighters where you'll need precise directional control to pull off those quarter circles on demand. What's really useful here though is the paddles. Attach two and then figure out which buttons you're pressing most often so you can program those to the paddles. Oh, mind-blowing. So in an Assassin's Creed game where you're going to be jumping and dodging a lot, it makes sense to set one as A and the other as B. But don't be afraid to play around a bit and find out what works best for you. It's always worth the effort.
And finally, a game that's very close to my heart, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. This is my shooter setup of choice, and it should be a good start to finding your own personal favorite. So let's start with the thumbsticks, which are obviously super important for games that are all about smooth movement and precise aim. I like to use two standard Xbox One thumbsticks. However, if you want to try something different that works really well, you can add a tool thumbstick for the right, which gives you that extra bit of control for aiming. I then set the controller to have high thumbstick tension, which gives you just a little bit more resistance for those small adjustments that can make all the difference in medium to long range gunfights. Then I make my left thumbstick sensitivity curve instant, so movement is as fast and reactive as possible. I then set my hair trigger locks to the highest setting for those quick shots, paired with the shortest possible dead zone setting to make them super reactive. I also personally prefer to turn off the controller's vibration in case it throws my aim off slightly, but that's just me. The last big thing that you're going to want to do is attach two mini paddles to the back of the controller for easier button access. Depending on the shooter that you're playing, you'll want to program these to do different things. The left one I always set as a second A button to make jumping easier, but the right paddle can vary from game to game. So for example, in Apex Legends, I have it set to up on the D-pad so I can quickly access shields and meds. But as we're talking Call of Duty, you probably want it set to right thumbstick click, which is either slide or melee, depending on if you play on tactical or default control settings. With all that done, it should give you the best chance at landing those headshots. Good luck.
We take great care in designing this controller. It's been a huge, huge passion project for 3 years for a lot of people at Microsoft. We're just hoping that people love this controller.
And there you have it, a few setups to get you started with the Elite Series 2 controller and your new console. Whether it's trying to get a competitive advantage or just an extra bit of comfort, the Elite really is a treat for your hands. Let us know what you're playing on the Xbox Series X and S down in the comments, and share your best setups. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel for more tips and tricks, basically everything else you want to do with Xbox, and we will see you next time. Bye bye!